It's good to see you guys. The film was humbling and instructive and frustrating and was hard to watch. And so to go through that as a staff and to get the answers that we need and to have a good plan and a prep for the guys walking in today has really been the focus. And so excited to be around the team today. You know, they've had their workout sessions this morning. They're going on now, and the energy in there has been good. And so we're going to have to build everything back up. We've got a great opponent on Saturday, a team that I really respect and a coach that I really respect, and it's going to be a challenge for us coming off this latest loss to play our best, because it's going to take our best to beat a really good TCU team. So with that, take any questions you guys have.
Dave, with bowl eligibility off the table, do you worry at all about guys kind of like checking out, maybe not being as motivated?
No, I appreciate that. I worry about that all the way through, and so to this point, we haven't had that. I haven't felt that. I've not seen anything that's resembled that, and so a lot of our talk with as a staff is to stay together, stay connected, and we have to be able to see the goals of our players with this game and these remaining two games, and their motivations. I'm sure they're being recruited. I'm sure our guys that have a chance to move on are thinking about that, right? I'm sure all of those things are invading this space, and so we have to bring it back here to this team, to this moment, to this opportunity. And I think that's just a natural thing when you're not having success. And so we have to be purposeful and intentional about going there. And to this point, our staff has done that, and we'll have to continue. I think it's probably a greater challenge now.
Dave, with how this season has gone, and you even mentioned the storm around your name last week when you and I spoke,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like these next 2 weeks for you is like an interview process, or that this is you coaching for your job?
No, I appreciate that. I think the whole thing is that. I think it's always that. I think that's I don't. My aim is to answer your question, but I really feel, to pull all the way back, I think it's always that. I think it's, you have to win. There's too much money in all of this to not win, and we haven't won, And I think to know that, and then to kind of drop into Waco, Texas, and see that we're trying our best and we're doing all of it, and there's still great support, I think really speaks to the leadership and the type of people that they are, And so I'm very appreciative of that. But I fully know that we have to win, and we needed to win a couple weeks ago too. So we're trying our best to do that.
Dave, how hard has it been on you personally, just going through this and this stretch, I guess?
No, I appreciate that. It's I don't. It's kind of a hard question. I don't really think about myself too much. Yesterday, for example, I come in and I try to be able to get with every coach and sit through it and with them, and I think it's difficult for them. I think you really have to, when you lose, you have to move past. There's a tendency to kind of stay isolated and stay kind of in your room, and when you walk out, people won't make eye contact with you, or their eyes will shift down, and so you feel that and you feel bad for them, and so I think to try to encourage guys to go out and not get locked in, and to be proud, and to to have that sense of self-worth. I know grown men are struggling with that. I know the young guys are struggling with that. So I think a lot of your time is spent with that, you know. It's spent that way. We were talking this morning, like if everywhere is dark, you look, then you have to kind of check yourself because you are probably the light, you know, and we're probably the light. We got to stay screwed in. Our job is to stay screwed in, continue to give light. We will find our way out. Yeah.
Dave, Big 12 protected Baylor TCU is kind of a every year rivalry. You know, what are your thoughts on that? You know, and then also, any thoughts on it being called the Bluebonnet Battle?
Appreciate that question. Yeah, we just had just a press conference just right now, and was so impressed with just the students on both sides and just their intelligence and their passion and their spirit is way cool. And so you could tell, I mean, there was a Zoom, and so while they were speaking, the kids that were speaking obviously were real eloquent, did a great job. The kids that weren't, you could just see their heads were nodding. They were so enthusiastic, and it made me feel enthusiastic, you know. And so I just think it's cool to be a part of something that means so much to so many people. And you know, for Baylor and TCU to be going at it for this long, you know, I know there's kids on our team that we got that remember when they were younger and they watched this game, and it was a big, you know, bragging rights the whole year, and you know, families divided and all that. And so I know, you know, Sonny's got kids like that on his team too that have been through that. And so I think, you know, you could look at it from our lens of not having a great year, and you know, you're looking for ways to kind of get something extra out of a thing. This is a way to do that, and so it means something, and it means a lot. And so I'm appreciative of that and excited for it. And yeah, and yet the name, it's yeah, I mean, I can understand why, and I think it's kind of it's a beautiful kind of view when you think of all that, because I'm on 35 like you guys and can see all of it. It's just it's interesting when it's mixed with football, though. So,
Dave, you mentioned after the Houston game that there's a lot of hurt left over from last year's loss against TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any way playing into the motivation this week to go out there and maybe right any of those wrongs from last season?
Appreciate that. I'm sure there is. You know, we've got a fair amount of motivators on this year alone, and just the rivalry is by itself. So, you know, like we were just talking. But I have to imagine there's guys that were on the team last year that know what that felt like, and to be gutted like that, and I have to imagine that is a motivator for them. You know, you look back at the rivalry, there's been a couple, maybe not quite like that, but a couple games that have come down to the end, and so it speaks to a really good matchup.
Coach, I know obviously we probably talked about it in the Zoom earlier, you know, spirit's been kind of down just with the season you've had, but do you think you're looking for a little more energy, and do you think you'll kind of see that, given that's just rivalry game and obviously the revamp of the Bluebonnet battle? Do you think you'll see a little bit more of that energy this week?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I thought, I think that the energy to start the game, I feel like we've had, and I understand the energy. I mean, just look at me. I mean, I understand the energy. What is it? The energy reasoning. I get it, but I think for us, a lot of our energy has to come with execution and winning. I think that's the part probably that we're missing. We started the game, I thought, with some good juice, and I think we're ready to play. Defensively, that first drive, we're a couple inches short here and there, and then offensively, it's the first time in a while that we took the ball and scored a touchdown on the other end. It's been a minute, and so way motivated with those guys. And so I think we have to continue to execute, to keep that going, to build it. So what ends up happening when you don't have success is that it's hard to stay in the present moment. you're always pulled back to the past, and then the past can be predictive if you let it of the future, and you have to fight against that. You have to say it's not how I'm feeling, but it's what I do in this moment that'll lead to this next moment. And so execution and winning will help us with that.
Dave, what do you see in TCU?
Appreciate that. Yeah, they, defensively, they've got a really big front. I think their linebackers are really, really active, and I think is they're the productive part of their defense, and they'll play with a bunch of them. You get a tight end and a bunch of people in the backfield. They'll line like in a diamond shape with their linebackers behind their 3 down linemen. They're big dudes and physical, and so they come downhill and blow stuff up, and they've got good instincts. And the secondary, they've got some guys that they've got a guy that's back, and they've got some good speed and range. And so there is a playmaking component there and their play speed is very fast, and so that jumps off the tape when you watch it. And then offensively, talking about play speed, just they're a tempo team. They're the fastest team that we've played up to this point in terms of time left on the clock, and so I think that's a major deal. We play K-State last week. That's not a tempo team, and they played tempo because we've struggled with tempo, and now we're going into the world of tempo. And so we have to be better, and we've got to get it to where we're lined up. Our cleats are in the grass. We're in position to execute and play and all of it. I think they've had some injuries and they're playing through it. I think outside they've got guys that can make one-on-ones, opportunities kind of explosive, and so we have to minimize that. And then I think we've got to tackle their running back. Their whole lineman's very big, and they lean on you if you let them, if you get tired with the tempo and all of it. And then running back, I think, is a dynamic guy, and he can make people miss, and he can bounce off a would-be tackler and take it all the way. And so it's a dangerous team. They've been fighting through some things of their own, but there are a bunch of just athletes there that are just ready to break out, and we just can't let that be versus us.
On the field, do you expect any adjustments or changes? Get more young kids playing time? How does that change over the next 2 games?
No, appreciate that. I think we should be getting Keytron back, and so he's been out the last 2 weeks, and so the forecast is looking good for having him back. I think Tizino, we're got our fingers crossed with him on our front, possibly coming back. B-Wash, fingers crossed that he's coming back. So I think we're going to get some guys that haven't been in the mix the last couple of weeks and trying to get them back. We could use them, We've been playing some young guys that majority of them throughout the whole season. Then there's a few others that we'd still like to redshirt. They're going to be playing their 4th game, so this would be the last game for them this year. And so to try to be able to balance that of the guys that, hey, we've taken their year, and then the guys that we're trying to save their year. We're kind of at that point right now. But I feel good about the youth and the production. I think, looking at next year, there'll be a bunch of guys that have played and contributed and have learned the lessons that you need to learn to be able to play good football here.
That group, how has Colton Price done at center since you moved him into the lineup?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, Colton has, when he first moved in, it was like he had never left, like he was been there the whole time. I think this last game was probably the most challenging, in terms of just execution for him. I think he struggled some this game. So this, TCU will be an opportunity to bounce back, so to speak. But I think prior to that, there is a love of football, and there is a love of his brothers, and just I guess passion is how I would see it. Colton would be somebody where if he's practicing, you have to have a strength coach kind of on the lookout to just pull him back because he's going to get carried away, right? And I mean, and we need that. And I think him coming into the fold of all of it, you know, this last Saturday was the best that we've run the ball, and we're going to have to run the ball versus TCU, and he's at the center of it, you know, in you know, literal and figuratively. I think he is the leader in that, and it's just his passion leads the way, and so we're looking for a big week from him.
Dave, given the recent coaching carousel with Jimbo Fisher, various, you know, programs like USC, Penn State, it's something that happens every year. Does that have any effect on you and your coaching staff, just in kind of the reality of the state of the sport?
No, I appreciate that. I think, you know, it's I've been it's about 2 weeks ago you start seeing Christmas commercials, probably longer than that, maybe 3 weeks ago. And so it's just that whenever you see like the Christmas, where it's the car with the ribbon on it, you know, like, okay, someone's about to get fired. You know, this is the signal that firings are coming next. And so I think, you know, when you have success, Christmas can be cool because you can kind of listen to Christmas carols and kind of the whole, you know, think about when you're a kid and you know, growing up. And when you don't have success, you're thinking about, okay, this car with the ribbon means someone's, you know, and that's just kind of, that's how it is. And so you sign up for that. And I think, you know, for the guys that have lost their job, I feel for them because I know that, you know, everyone intends to do well. But full respect to the business part of it because that is what it is.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thank you guys.